YouTube, how's it going? The Goat Owls is back with an updated, way too early 2023 NFL mock draft here. It's a bit early, but always excited to make a mock draft. Everyone loves a good mock draft, so why not? Recently did a video with a big board for the upcoming draft, but not my big board. It was National Football Scouting's big board, which is interesting. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. But that kind of influenced this video, changed some things. Some players that maybe teams are higher on than we all think. So move them up the board. So excited to break this down. Very important note is that the order is determined, and this mock is determined by Super Bowl odds, current Super Bowl odds. So I didn't really predict what the order would be. That's really not what this video is about. Some people kind of get mad about that. But, yeah, we're just learning the prospects and where they may fit at this way too early stage. So follow us on Twitter. A lot going on there. Live updates. Always talking with you guys. A lot going on in the college football world with the conference, the Big Ten, NBA as well. So sometimes talking about those things as well, not just NFL, on our Twitter. So check it out. Link down below for that. Like, subscribe to notifications on full NFL coverage here to the mock draft. So, again, you see at the top, orders determined by I use FanDuel Super Bowl odds. So there's always those complainers on these videos in the comments about I think the Texans are going to be the worst team in football. No, I'm not saying that with this video. It's just a mock draft, right? So Will Anderson, I had that last time, I believe, too, to the Texans, arguably the best player in the draft, pass rusher in the draft, and everyone's looking for those at the top of the draft, of course. So I got Will Anderson going there. We'll see if they stick with Lovie Smith after just 1 year. We know the Texans aren't afraid to move on, so that could change things, of course, but they need some pass rush help for sure. In Houston, will Davis Mills play well this year? If he plays well, if he plays okay, they may stick with him. If not, then they could go with the quarterback because, in this scenario, they have the first pick, so they could go with that quarterback. But one Will Anderson, who I think most people have, is the best player in the draft at this way too early stage. The Falcons go C.J. Stroud, the quarterback from Ohio State. Now, everyone's saying Bryce Young. I'm still sticking with C.J. Stroud, predicting he will be the top quarterback. That's essentially what I'm doing here, is predicting that. I think Stroud, feels like the better NFL prospect right now. A little more of the size. I think more upside where he got to from week 1 last year to the end of the season was very impressive. I think he could be a better version of Justin Fields. Maybe Fields a little more athletic, a little more speedy. Stroud a little better with the pocket presence there. Going through progressions. So I like Stroud of the Falcons at 2. They're in position to grab that quarterback early, position to get an early pick. Jets go Jalen Carter, kind of best player available. That big board video we did that I mentioned at the beginning of this, it's a recent video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. He was actually number 1 on that, and that is the Combine Committee that comes up with that. So they think very highly of Jalen Carter. I think we all do. So he goes 3 to the Jets. Seahawks go Bryce Young, so kind of that Russell Wilson replacement just a year after getting rid of Russell Wilson. Just feels like a pretty good replacement, maybe slightly undersized, some similar parts of their game, obviously, where their strengths are. So would like Bryce Young to the Seahawks. Will Levis, Kentucky quarterback, going to the Panthers. They're going to need a quarterback unless they feel great about Matt Corral, but they don't have a lot tied to Matt Corral because he was a 3rd-round pick. They did trade up for him, but not a whole lot tied there, really. If it was a first, maybe a second, then maybe, but could be a different coaching staff in there as well. I think the NFL would be higher on him than maybe fans because the idea of him, the upside, big body kid with a strong arm, I think, it depends on the season, of course. He's got to take care of the ball. Well, be more relaxed. I shouldn't say take care of the ball because he didn't turn the ball over a lot, but some wild throws, be a little more accurate with the ball, and hopefully Kentucky expands a little bit. Too many screens, gadget type plays. And the Jags go Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, who is 6 on that big board. So that's for a tight end, that's pretty good. We've seen tight ends go up here in the past, but yeah, Mayer, kind of that total package type of tight end. The Jaguars could be looking for that guy for Trevor Lawrence. They brought in Evan Engram, different type of tight end, and it's only a 1-year deal. So they could be in the market for a guy like this next year. Bears thought about receiver here. They don't seem to be valuing receivers so far. They could start next year because they're still in that rebuild process, but they're going to need another tackle, in my opinion. Peter Skoronski from Northwestern looks legit if you have the chance to watch him. And we've seen Slater come out of there just last year as well, but the Bears can grab that tackle to pair with Tevin Jenkins. Lions get their quarterback of the future, Tyler Van Dyke, kind of give me some Matthew Stafford vibes, really, which is interesting because Matthew Stafford used to play for the Lions, so they get their Matthew Stafford of the future here, which is with a different coaching staff, different group there, and they've been bringing in some good young talent as well. So I like Van Dyke there. You kind of wish he had a little more athleticism, but very strong arm, very good touch pass. Especially down the sideline in the red zone. So excited to watch him this year, another year in Miami. Next group of picks, the Giants grabbed their corner. They had to move on from Bradbury. They're going to need another corner here. They have a Dory Jaxon on the other side. He has that injury concern. So they're definitely going to need one. Ringo sounds like he could be cornerback 1. The Commanders grabbed their linebacker, Trenton Simpson, a big riser for me. Super athletic linebacker, flies around the field, high motor. Kind of fit, maybe would look... A few years ago, would look maybe a little bit undersized. Not really. He's pretty built, but in terms of weight. But now it kind of really fits today's type of linebacker, and the Commanders still could be looking for something. They used just a year ago a first-round pick on Jamin Davis, but not too many spots where they really need to get better there, so they could get better at linebacker here. Brian Bruzzi, defensive lineman from Clemson, goes here at 11 to the Steelers. They can move him around a bit across the defensive line. They did bring in Larry Ogunjobi, nothing long-term there. They lost to retirement, so they bring in the Clemson defensive lineman here. Eagles go Bijan Robinson, running back from Texas, who this is kind of looking like a pretty good running back class, actually. I mean, you got some potential stars here. We got like Robinson, I got like a guy like Gibbs a lot as well. Miles Sanders going to be a free agent. And they're going to value the running back position, because they run the ball quite a bit, so they get a big time one here at pick 12, and they can afford to do this because they have multiple picks here. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, wide receiver from Ohio State. Receivers slip a little bit in this scenario. I think it's possible. I think it's also possible they go inside the top 10, but the Patriots can't pass on him. Slot receiver that also, he kind of can just take the same route as Garrett Wilson. He's kind of more of a slot last year, but played everywhere when a guy like Wilson was out of that Rose Bowl game, and Njigba really took off, and Wilson did the same thing, was mainly slot, but then moved outside mainly, but kind of did both the last year. It's similar route here. He can end up going pretty early. Eli Ricks, cornerback from Alabama. The only concern there is the off-the-field issue, which, I guess it's kind of tough giving him the off-the-field guy to the Raiders, but very talented. Has the talent to be a top 10 pick easily. So, is he going to slide because of that? We're still a long way away till finding out the NFL's thoughts on that. But Jahmyr Gibbs, who I love, out of Alabama, hasn't played for Alabama yet. He's only played for Georgia Tech, but almost Alvin Kamara-like. The Dolphins have quite a few running backs kind of up in the air on their future. If they have in that Mike McDaniel system, if they have a legit running back, can do wonders there, and you get a legit one with Gibbs. Kayshon Boutee, wide receiver from LSU, slipped again. The receivers in this scenario kind of slipped through a little bit because of the other talent. So the Vikings take him, add him with, because they're going to pass the ball more on this new with this new staff, but add him with another LSU receiver and Justin Jefferson plus non-LSU receiver and Adam Thielen there, who I don't think he's declining yet, but maybe could be in the near future. But the Vikings grab another LSU receiver there. So on the next picks, Texans grab their offensive lineman, which kind of up in the air, and on a guy like Laramie Tunsil on how long he'll be around, still a little bit unknown, but for right now he's their guy. But Paris Johnson Jr. could play guard or tackle, but could be that tackle of the future there for the Texans. There with their second pick of this mock draft. Titans go Tyree Wilson, who was number 3 on that big board made by National Football Scouting, which maybe was a little surprising. But you look more into Wilson, there's a lot to like about him. Long, physical, athletic. The Titans look pretty good going into this year in terms of the pass rush. Bud Dupree and Harold Landry, of course, who they just extended or signed long-term. But they kind of could be looking out for the future here. Very unique defense where they can use kind of all 3 of those guys. But how long is Dupree going to be around for? So they can grab Wilson. Isaiah Foskey, Notre Dame pass rusher, who we thought would come out last year. Instead will come out next year. Cardinals need that pass rusher pretty bad, so they grab him. Eagles grab that safety and Jordan Battle from Alabama. The Colts go receiver Jordan Addison, who was Pittsburgh's receiver, now USC. It's exactly the type of guy they probably need in there with Pittman. 6 foot, quick, it's good separator. Just going to rack up those receptions there. The Bengals, not a lot of needs for the Bengals. Pretty complete team. They made the offensive line better this offseason, I think it will be. But it could still end up being a need next year. DeJuan Jones, another Ohio State offensive lineman who can kind of play all over the place as well. I guess nothing said on Leo Collins, which I love that pickup, but nothing said about him long term. Andre Carter II, Army, weird seeing an Army guy. Weird seeing the Texas Tech guy as well, both edge rushers. But Army edge rusher who was extremely productive last year. Ravens could be looking for another pass rusher. But Ojulari could be stepping up as well. Maybe this is when he's coming back. Was thinking about receiver here. Maybe if Addison was on the board. Ravens don't really value the receivers super high, so we'll see. Miles Murphy, it was tough. He kind of slipped through a little bit just because fit. I thought Wilson and Foskey fit those teams up there a little bit better than Murphy fit those teams. But Murphy, a stud from Clemson. Cowboys missed out on Randy Gregory this offseason. Could be looking for a guy next offseason, whether it's free agency or the draft. And then the last 8 picks, Noah Sewell, linebacker from Oregon. Fantastic blitzer, another high motor guy. Going to Seattle, you're replacing Bobby Wagner. Dolphins grabbing another pass rusher, which they could use. After Melvin Ingram signed a 1-year deal with them somewhat recently, they could be looking to replace that. And the Chargers grabbed Josh Downs, a North Carolina wide receiver, good deep threat there to pair with Justin Herbert. Quentin Johnson, the big target from TCU, kind of feels like a Packers receiver, but is there any Packers receiver in the first round because they kind of refused to take him? We're still trying here. Joey Porter Jr., son of Joey Porter, former linebacker in the NFL, cornerback from Penn State here, goes to the Lions. Will McDonald, the edge rusher from Iowa State, another one that was higher than expected in that big board I was talking about. Chiefs grab him, pair him with Carl Laptis for the future. Buccaneers get a guard, Emil Ikior Jr. from Alabama, who they could use to, I guess it depends on how their new look guards are this year because Marpet retired and Kappa went to the Bengals. So, you draft Godecki. Does he start? How does he work out? And then you get Shaq Mason, not a long-term thing with him. They do have Stinney as well, but nothing really guaranteed in there. I think he'll be solid this year, but nothing guaranteed, especially long-term. And Henry 2-0-2-0 linebacker from Alabama goes to the Bills. Decisions to make in the future with Tremaine Edmonds there, who I still think has upside, but not a lot of needs for the Bills, so I thought that kind of made sense. So that is my updated way too early mock. Again, order was determined by Super Bowl odds, so it's not like my prediction on the order here, but these are the guys I got my eye on for the first round, and there's many other guys as well. But that big board video was very interesting. I'd recommend checking it out as well. But we could do more draft videos if it's recommended. We're kind of getting ready for the NFL season. We got some fantasy videos rolling out. Still expect some moves to be made, some signings, trades, because there's still a lot of guys out there, a lot of question marks, and we're beginning to kind of predict the upcoming season with how players will play and rankings, things like that. So join us for all that. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on me. Much appreciated. More to come for sure. Follow us on Twitter. It'll be very important. There's a link down below. It's at GoatHouseNFL. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.